Can we truly convey our worth without saying a single word? Is it possible to get the appreciation we deserve without bending over backwards and allowing others to take advantage of us? Imagine if our actions could echo our value louder than any speech ever could. What if I told you that ancient Stoic philosophy provides a resounding yes to these questions? In the realm of Stoicism, courage isn't just about bravado. It's about the quiet strength found in our deeds. Stoics believed in demonstrating worth through actions, not mere words. In fact, in his Meditations, Marcus Aurelius stated, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." So let's embark on a journey of self-discovery, where we unravel the art of being valued without uttering a single word. But before you conjure images of Stoics as stern-faced statues, let's set the record straight. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions or wearing a perpetual poker face. It's about discerning where our energy is best spent, about presenting ourselves with dignity in every interaction. Join us as we delve into the wisdom of Stoicism, discovering how to navigate relationships with authenticity and purpose. Let's redefine what it means to be valued, not by the noise we make, but by the substance of our actions. Let's begin with recognizing what you bring to the table. Let's face it, understanding your worth is easier said than done. Many of us go through life doubting ourselves or allowing our value to be determined by external factors like social media, job titles, or even someone's opinion of us. But here's the thing, your worth is entirely in your control, and it's not measured by how many likes you receive or whether someone finds you attractive. It's based on how you perceive yourself and the principles you uphold. Think of your worth like a gemstone. No matter who walks by, whether they recognize its brilliance or not, the gemstone remains valuable. The same applies to you. The fact that someone might overlook or misunderstand you doesn't lessen your value. You're still the same incredible person with unique talents, personality traits, and virtues that make you stand out. We all face moments where we're rejected or feel not good enough, especially in a world where everyone seems to be living their best life on social media. But consider this. Why should your value depend on whether someone likes you back or if your post gets enough hearts? Remember that your self-worth is rooted in your actions, your kindness, your honesty, and your consistency. Are you compassionate and resilient? Are you loyal and trustworthy? Do you try your best to be a good friend, parent, or colleague? Your worth is defined by these qualities, not by external validation. So, how do you remind yourself of your value? Start by reflecting on what makes you unique. What qualities do you admire in yourself? Maybe you're known for your empathy or your ability to make others laugh. Maybe you're a great listener or are always there for friends in need. These are the things that make you special. Take a mental note or even write them down if that helps. It's also crucial to recognize the situations where you start feeling undervalued or questioning your worth. Is it when you compare yourself to others or when you receive criticism? Instead of spiraling into self-doubt, gently remind yourself of your virtues. Recall a recent instance where you handled a difficult situation with grace or supported someone who needed help. That wasn't a coincidence. It's a testament to your character. Understanding your worth isn't just about knowing what makes you great. It's also about standing firm when someone tries to undermine it. If someone doesn't treat you with the respect you deserve, don't let that pass. If you sense that a relationship is damaging your confidence or doesn't align with your values, don't hesitate to step back. This isn't arrogance, it's a clear signal that you respect yourself too much to allow that behavior. Remember that reinforcing your value is a constant practice. It's about waking up each day and reminding yourself that you are valuable, not because of anyone's approval, but because of who you are at your core. Take a cue from the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Focus on controlling how you view yourself, and the rest will follow. In the end, knowing your worth is about accepting that you're more than enough, just as you are. When you hold on to this truth, you'll discover a newfound strength that will empower you in all aspects of life, from your relationships to your work. No external factor or opinion should have the power to diminish the brilliance of who you are. You know your worth, so live it every day with confidence and clarity. That brings us to our next point: to present yourself with dignity. Dignity, it means the state or quality of being worthy of honor or respect. But what does that really look like in practice? It's about being comfortable in your own skin, understanding your principles, and not letting the desire to fit in or impress others sway your values. Ask yourself, who leaves a lasting impression? Someone who is overtly trying hard to impress with grand gestures, or someone who is comfortable in their own skin and laid back? Obviously the one who is genuine, right? The former can come off as needy and weak, while the latter is simply being present, communicating subconsciously that they don't need anything from you. And that's the essence of having self-respect, confidence, and most importantly, dignity. Let's start with the basics: your posture. This isn't about appearing aloof or standoffish. It's about holding your head high and meeting people eye to eye. The way you carry yourself, whether it's a firm handshake or steady gaze, reflects your inner confidence. When people see that you value yourself, they're more likely to value you too. But posture alone doesn't tell the whole story. How you present yourself extends to how you treat your time and energy. Think of your time as a valuable resource. Who deserves it and who doesn't? If you're constantly bending over backward to accommodate people who don't respect your boundaries, it's time to reevaluate. Prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's essential to living with dignity. If you always say yes to everything, where do you draw the line? Instead, be selective about who gets your attention, ensuring that it aligns with your values and goals. Now, let's talk about what you wear and how you dress. It's not about being flashy or dressing in the latest trends. It's about finding a style that makes you feel good. If you love wearing vibrant colors because they reflect your upbeat personality, then do that. Or if simplicity suits you best, wear what feels right for you. Your attire should be a reflection of your authentic self, not an attempt to fit into someone else's mold. Dressing with dignity means dressing in a way that shows you value yourself while being comfortable with who you are. Dignity also comes through in how you communicate. Listening attentively, speaking clearly, and expressing your thoughts honestly all contribute to respectful interactions. Treating others with kindness and patience, even in difficult situations, shows that you respect yourself enough to maintain composure and not be easily rattled. On the other hand, if someone is being rude or dismissive, maintaining your dignity means addressing the issue calmly or walking away rather than stooping to their level. Crucially, dignity isn't just about how you present yourself to others, it's also about how you treat yourself. Are you holding on to self-critical thoughts or letting past failures define you? Recognize that you deserve kindness and understanding, just as you would offer to a close friend. Give yourself credit for the good you've done and acknowledge your strengths. Another element of dignity is staying true to your principles. It's easy to be swayed by peer pressure, especially when you're seeking acceptance, but compromising your values for short-term approval often leads to regret. Instead, embrace your beliefs and stand by them, even if it means standing alone. The right people will appreciate your integrity. Presenting yourself with dignity involves showing up as your true self with confidence, protecting your time and energy, dressing to reflect who you are, communicating with respect, and sticking to your principles. It's not about perfection, but about consistently aligning your actions with your values. The more you treat yourself with dignity, the more others will respect you for it. And when that happens, you'll attract the kind of people who genuinely appreciate you. Live by these principles, and you'll see how dignity transforms your relationships, your self-esteem, and ultimately, your life. If these messages are resonating with you, let us know in the comments and give this video a like to help spread the message to more people. All right, let's talk about something we've all experienced: the urge to chase after someone who's pulling away. It's like this instinct that kicks in, telling us we need to do whatever it takes to keep that person close. But here's the thing: chasing rarely leads to the outcome we desire. Think about it like this. When you chase after someone, you're essentially saying, "Hey, I'll do whatever it takes to make you stay." But what message does that send about your own worth? It's like you're putting their happiness above your own, sacrificing your dignity in the process. Now, I get it. It's not easy to resist the urge to chase. We're wired to seek connection, to crave validation from others. But here's the truth. True connection can't be forced. It has to be mutual, reciprocal, built on a foundation of respect and understanding. So, instead of chasing, let's focus on embracing our own worth. Let's stand firm in our self-respect, our dignity, our value. Because here's the thing: if someone truly values you, they won't need to be chased. They'll see your worth, they'll appreciate you for who you are, and they'll make an effort to be in your life. And if they don't, well, that's their loss. Because you are worthy, my friend. You are deserving of love, respect, and happiness. Chasing after someone who's pulling away is like trying to hold on to sand. It just slips through your fingers. Instead, let's focus on building ourselves up, on nurturing our own growth and happiness. That's not to say we should close ourselves off or play hard to get. It's about finding that balance, that middle ground where we're open to connection but also grounded in our own worth. And hey, if someone does start to pull away, let them. It's not a reflection of your value as a person. It's a reflection of where they're at in their own journey. And that's okay. You deserve someone who's all in, who's willing to meet you halfway, who's not afraid to show up and be vulnerable. So the next time you feel that urge to chase, take a step back. Remind yourself of your worth, of the incredible person you are. And if someone can't see that, well, that's their loss. Because you, my friend, are worth so much more than someone who can't see your value. Embrace your worth, own it, and trust that the right person will come along, someone who sees you for who you truly are and loves you all the more for it. Until then, keep shining bright, keep staying true to yourself, and remember, you are worthy of love always. Let's be honest. How often do you feel like your time isn't truly your own? Whether it's because of social commitments, work, or favors to friends, it's easy to lose track of your boundaries and overextend yourself. That's why it's crucial that you are selective with your availability and what you spend your time on. Limiting your availability might sound like a drastic measure, but it's one of the most empowering things you can do for yourself. Think of your time, energy, and attention as valuable resources, like precious commodities in limited supply. Not everyone deserves access to them, and being selective isn't about playing hard to get. It's about knowing your value and setting boundaries that reflect it. Start by thinking about your time. How often do you find yourself saying yes to things you don't truly want to do, or giving too much of your day to people or activities that drain you? If you're constantly feeling overwhelmed or stretched too thin, it's a sign that you're overcommitting. Limiting your availability means considering carefully who and what deserves your attention. If a particular relationship or commitment leaves you feeling depleted or unappreciated, it's time to reassess. Another critical aspect is controlling your emotional energy. Not everyone who seeks your support has your best interests at heart. While helping others is admirable, being everyone's go-to confidant can leave you feeling drained. Protecting your emotional energy means recognizing when someone is taking advantage of your kindness or when someone's personal struggles are negatively affecting your peace of mind. Stepping back from certain people is sometimes necessary to preserve your mental health. In today's connected world, social media can also be an emotional drain. If you're scrolling endlessly and feeling worse about yourself afterward, limit how much access you give it. Unfollow accounts that don't bring positivity into your life and be mindful of the time spent online. Disconnect periodically to reconnect with your priorities. Boundaries are also crucial for limiting availability. This doesn't mean becoming unapproachable. It's about setting clear guidelines for how you expect to be treated. If someone ignores your wishes or disrespects your time, remind them gently but firmly of your boundaries. For instance, if a friend keeps dropping by unannounced, let them know you'd prefer advance notice. If a colleague piles extra tasks on you, explain that you can't take on additional work right now. You don't have to justify yourself or feel guilty for prioritizing your well-being. When you limit your availability, you create space for quality connections with people who genuinely respect you and contribute positively to your life. Instead of stretching yourself across countless social obligations, nurture relationships that uplift and inspire you. Moreover, limiting your availability isn't just about keeping others at bay. It's about making sure you're not giving too much of yourself to non-essentials. Are you spending too much time worrying about things outside your control or giving in to self-criticism? Sometimes, the biggest challenge is limiting how much time we give to our negative thoughts. At the end of the day, this is a practical form of self-care. It's a way of telling yourself, I matter, and I'm worth protecting. By consciously choosing who and what gets your time and energy, you prioritize your well-being and surround yourself with positivity. Take stock of your current commitments and relationships. Are there areas where you're giving too much and not receiving enough in return? If so, remember that saying no isn't selfish, it's smart. Being discerning about your time and energy will help you build a life that feels balanced and fulfilling. It'll also help you regain control over your mental and emotional landscape, giving you the clarity to focus on what truly matters. Ultimately, limiting your availability isn't about shutting people out. It's about letting the right ones in. When it comes to setting boundaries in relationships, many people rely on saying things like, I won't tolerate this, or I need more of that. But the true power of boundaries lies in demonstrating them through your actions, not just your words. Think of it as a way to communicate what you expect without getting into lengthy explanations or confrontations. This approach not only saves you time and energy, but it also sends a clear message about what behaviors you'll accept. Consider this analogy. If you tell someone you want to live a healthier lifestyle but continue eating poorly and avoiding exercise, they won't take your goals seriously. However, if they see you choosing nutritious meals and prioritizing physical activity, they're more likely to believe in your commitment and understand that you're not just saying it to feel better about yourself. So, how can you apply this show, don't tell approach to boundaries in your relationships? Start by being clear with yourself about your expectations. If your boundary is to not accept last-minute cancellations or disrespectful comments, you need to be prepared to act accordingly when those situations arise. Instead of simply stating your expectations, Follow through by calmly but firmly addressing the behavior that crossed your line. For instance, if a friend constantly cancels plans without notice, stop rescheduling immediately. Politely let them know how their actions affect you and that you're no longer willing to continue making plans under those conditions. This isn't just about reacting to negative behavior, it's also about reinforcing positive boundaries. If your boundary is to spend more quality time with supportive people, proactively arrange outings or phone calls with those who uplift you. By showing through your actions that you value these relationships, you reinforce the idea that mutual respect and positivity are essential to your well-being. The beauty of showing boundaries through actions is that it leaves little room for misinterpretation. People respond to your consistent behavior. They quickly understand that you mean what you say, which reduces the likelihood of repeated boundary violations. While it may take some time to adjust your patterns, once you build that reputation, others will treat you accordingly. In addition to setting boundaries with others, showing, not telling, applies to how you treat yourself as well. If you say you want to spend more time on self-care, back up those words with actions. Dedicate a specific time each week to activities that make you feel rejuvenated, whether it's taking a nature walk or reading a good book. Showing yourself that you're committed to your well-being reinforces your belief in your own worth. It's also important to remember that boundaries aren't about creating drama or being rigid. They're about living with integrity and demonstrating through your actions how you expect to be treated. Your friends, family, and colleagues will respect you more when they see that you uphold your principles without unnecessary conflict. Ultimately, this show, don't tell mindset is about consistency. Don't worry about being perfect or getting it right every time. Instead, focus on being clear with your boundaries and backing them up with actions that align with your expectations. This practical approach will improve your relationships and ensure that your boundaries are respected. Be patient with yourself and those around you, and remember that the people who value you will appreciate your willingness to stand up for yourself. Let your actions lead the way, and you'll find that your relationships naturally align with your values. Focus on actions, not words. In relationships, people often say all the right things to win trust, but when words and actions don't match up, it's a signal to pay closer attention. Focusing on actions rather than promises is a powerful way to protect yourself and build relationships rooted in authenticity and mutual respect. It's about cutting through the noise and seeing what really matters. Think about this. How often have you been charmed by someone's sweet talk, only to realize later that their behavior doesn't align with what they promised? Maybe they pledged to be there for you, but never showed up when it counted. Or they said they valued your time, but kept canceling plans. These inconsistencies are red flags, and by noticing them early on, you can prevent heartache and disappointment. Observing actions is not about being cynical or overly suspicious. Instead, it's about gathering accurate information to make informed decisions about who deserves your trust. Actions reveal a person's true intentions and character because they reflect their genuine priorities. If someone says they value honesty but repeatedly lies or bends the truth, their behavior tells you what they really value. So, how do you practice this in everyday relationships? Start by looking at patterns. Do they follow through consistently or only when it's convenient for them? When someone says they're committed to spending time with you, notice if they initiate plans or if you're the one always reaching out. Do they listen and act on your feedback, or do they nod and go back to old habits? Recognizing patterns takes time, so be patient and keep observing. Also, pay attention to how people treat others, especially in situations where there's nothing to gain. Are they kind to service workers or dismissive? Do they offer to help a friend in need, or only show up when it's advantageous. This can give you a better understanding of their character and how they're likely to treat you over the long run. But this principle isn't just for observing others. It's also about holding yourself to the same standard. Are you following through on your commitments and being consistent in your actions? If you tell someone you care about them, show it through small, thoughtful gestures. If you promise to be supportive, be there when they need you. Living by this principle strengthens your integrity and makes you a better friend, partner, or family member. While focusing on actions over words is crucial, remember that actions don't need to be grand gestures. It's the little things, like a sincere apology or a willingness to compromise, that reflect someone's intentions. If a partner is late to dinner but makes an effort to communicate and apologize, that effort can speak volumes about their respect for you. In relationships where words and actions don't align, don't be afraid to trust your intuition. If something feels off or inconsistent, address it calmly and directly. Ask questions and listen to their response, but ultimately, let their actions guide your next steps. Focusing on actions over words allows you to build relationships with people who are dependable and genuine. You're more likely to find connections that last because they're based on consistency and shared values. At the same time, you're able to protect your own well-being by not getting caught up in empty promises. So, keep your eyes open and pay attention to how people act, not just what they say. Relationships built on mutual trust and authenticity are worth far more than charming words that fade away with time. Set a high standard for yourself and others, and remember that actions will always speak louder than words. This ties into the next point, having healthy skepticism. Remember that feeling when someone's story seems too perfect, but something in your gut says, "Hold on a second, this doesn't add up." That's your internal alarm, urging you to be cautious. Healthy skepticism means paying attention to those alarms, using them to sift through the noise and find the truth. It's not about being distrustful of everyone you meet, but about making sure you're not swept away by words or appearances without verifying their substance. A balanced level of skepticism helps you steer clear of empty promises and unrealistic expectations. Think of it as a reality check that helps you see people's actions clearly without being blinded by hopeful assumptions. When someone presents themselves in an overly flattering way or claims they can deliver the moon, pause and ask yourself, is this really possible, or am I just hearing what I want to believe? But what does healthy skepticism look like in practice? Start by listening closely to your intuition. If something feels off or too good to be true, trust that feeling. Your gut often picks up on subtle cues your conscious mind might overlook. For instance, if a new acquaintance is overly eager to impress, it could be worth questioning their motivations. Why are they rushing into things, and what do they want? Pay attention to inconsistencies in their behavior too. Do their words match their actions? Are they making big promises that seem unrealistic or dismissing important concerns with smooth talk? If you sense a mismatch between their words and behavior, ask yourself why. Healthy skepticism doesn't mean assuming the worst, but it does mean gathering enough information before fully trusting someone. It's important to find a balance between skepticism and openness, though. Don't let skepticism make you cynical or stop you from building genuine connections. People are complex, and while some might disappoint, others will surprise you with their sincerity. Keep an open mind, but stay observant. Also, be realistic about yourself. Are you seeing only what you want to see in others? When we're caught up in the excitement of a new relationship or opportunity, we can sometimes overlook red flags because we're afraid of being alone or missing out. Challenge your assumptions and ask whether this person or situation aligns with your values. In practical terms, skepticism can be valuable for decision-making. Before making major commitments, whether it's a job change, investment, or new relationship, ask yourself, have I considered the potential risks as well as the benefits? Seek advice from friends or mentors you trust, as their perspectives can highlight blind spots you might miss. Skepticism is a way to protect your well-being and approach life realistically. By being cautious but open, you can build relationships rooted in authenticity and avoid unnecessary pitfalls. Take your time to make decisions and remember that it's okay to ask questions. Your peace of mind is worth the extra care. When used thoughtfully, skepticism helps you see clearly and make better decisions about who and what is right for you. It ensures you're not blinded by appearances and keeps you grounded in reality. Embrace this mindset, and you'll be more capable of making choices that truly serve you in the long run. Next, let's talk about something we are all familiar with: rejection. But this time, you're the one doing the rejecting. Knowing when to decline isn't always easy, especially in a culture that often values compliance and people-pleasing. But it's one of the most empowering things you can do to protect your well-being and live authentically. It's about recognizing your limits and honoring your commitments in a way that aligns with your values and goals. Consider moments when you felt stretched thin or pressured to take on more than you can handle. Maybe it was agreeing to extra tasks at work, attending social events out of obligation, or agreeing to favors that left you feeling drained. In these situations, understanding when to decline can be a powerful act of self-care and self-respect. Declining requests begins with knowing your priorities and staying true to them. What matters most to you? Is it spending quality time with loved ones, pursuing your passions, or maintaining a healthy work-life balance? By clarifying your values, you can more easily recognize opportunities that align with your goals and those that don't. When faced with a request that doesn't resonate with your priorities, it's important to decline gracefully and assertively. You don't owe anyone an explanation or apology for honoring your boundaries. A simple, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I won't be able to commit to that at this time," communicates your decision clearly while maintaining respect for yourself and others. In personal relationships, knowing when to decline can be essential for maintaining healthy boundaries and preserving your emotional well-being. Whether passing up an invitation that doesn't interest you or declining a request that goes against your values, honoring your instincts strengthens your sense of self and fosters more authentic connections. Learning when to decline is a process that takes practice and self-awareness. You'll want to start with low-stakes situations, such as politely declining minor requests or prioritizing your own needs over others. With time and experience, you'll become more comfortable asserting your limits and protecting your time and energy. It's natural to feel guilty or anxious at first, especially if you're accustomed to prioritizing others' needs over your own. But remember that honoring your priorities isn't selfish. It's an act of self-respect and self-care. By declining opportunities that don't serve your well-being, you create space for activities and relationships that bring you joy and fulfillment. Ultimately, knowing when to decline empowers you to live authentically and prioritize what truly matters to you. It's about recognizing your worth and valuing your time and energy enough to invest them where they'll have the greatest impact. So the next time you're faced with a request that doesn't align with your priorities, trust your instincts and decline with confidence, knowing that you're honoring yourself and your journey. But sometimes things simply don't work out. Not all partnerships are destined to last, and not all relationships are meant to blossom. In Stoicism, there's a concept of detachment, not in an indifferent or insensitive way, but in the sense of understanding the things that we can or cannot control. When we have done everything we can and others are still unable to see the value we bring, it's time to walk away. Walking away, often perceived as a sign of defeat or disengagement, is in reality a powerful tool for self-preservation, self-respect, and autonomy. Do you find yourself trapped in the habit of prioritizing the needs and desires of others, frequently at the expense of your own interests and well-being? It's frustrating, isn't it? But you've come to the right place. In this exploration, we uncover the dynamics underlying such behavior and how you can break free via the simple yet powerful act of walking away. In the next moments, we will explore the two key parts of walking away and how they profoundly transform our relationship with ourselves and others, leading to a more authentic and fulfilling existence. But before that, we need to first know how to identify negative influences in our lives, understand their underlying causes, and realize why we often fail to escape their grasp. Seeing through toxic people and environments. In the intricate tapestry of our lives, toxicity weaves its subtle threads, often unnoticed until the fabric of our well-being starts to fray. It's the friend whose presence drains more than it gives, leaving us feeling empty and undervalued. Or the workplace, cloaked in just office politics, where gossip and backstabbing create a minefield of distrust and anxiety. These toxic elements, like insidious shadows, cast a dark veil over our lives, so subtly woven that we might not notice their presence until the light within us has significantly dimmed. Let's delve deeper into the nature of toxic people. Often, they are masters of emotional manipulation, skilled in twisting words and situations to their advantage. Their criticisms aren't shouted but whispered, leaving scars that linger long and deep. They are the ones who make us question our worth, using guilt as a leash to keep us tethered and controlled. Their toxicity might not always be overt. It often lies in what is unsaid, in the implied, in the subtle ways they undermine our confidence and happiness. But why do these individuals act this way? Often, toxic people are driven by their insecurities and fears. They may feel a need to control others as a way to assert their own sense of worth. Their actions, though harmful to others, are misguided attempts to cope with their internal struggles. They might not even be aware of the negative impact of their behavior, so deeply entrenched are they in their patterns of manipulation and control. And what about toxic environments? Consider a family setting where every achievement is met with skepticism, not celebration, where affection is conditional, contingent on meeting impossible standards, or a workplace that stifles creativity and enthusiasm, where the fear of making mistakes overshadows the joy of accomplishment. These environments form when negative behaviors and attitudes become normalized, often perpetuated by a culture that values competition over collaboration, criticism over support, conformity over individuality. In these spaces, negativity festers and grows, often so gradually that we don't realize how much of our authentic selves we've lost to its spread. Recognizing these subtleties is about tuning into your inner voice. It's listening to that faint whisper that says, "This doesn't feel right." Do you feel consistently diminished, anxious, or unfulfilled in certain relationships or settings? Your energy is constantly drained? You find yourself more often sad than happy, more defeated than uplifted? These are the silent alarms signaling the presence of toxicity in our lives. But this awareness is just the beginning, and that brings us to our next crucial point. Why do we often find ourselves unable to break free from these harmful patterns? The struggle to break free. As we navigate through the labyrinth of our emotions and experiences, we often find ourselves pondering a difficult question. Why is it so hard to break free from the grasp of toxic environments and relationships? The answer is complex, rooted in a blend of emotional and psychological factors. But there are four major reasons many of us find ourselves stuck in these harmful cycles. First, let's address the powerful role of fear in our lives. It's not the overt, trembling kind of fear, but a more subtle, insidious one. It's the fear that whispers, "What if things get worse if I leave?" Or, "What if I'm alone forever?" This kind of fear, often cloaked in rationalizations, keeps us tethered to the known, however harmful, because the unknown seems even more daunting. Next, consider the tantalizing glimmer of hope that keeps us anchored. Hope, while inherently positive, can become a double-edged sword in toxic scenarios. We cling to the hope for change, improvement, or a return to better times, often overlooking the repeated patterns of hurt and disappointment. Additionally, the struggle is compounded by a loss of identity. In toxic relationships or environments, we often mold ourselves to fit the expectations and demands of others, gradually losing sight of who we are and what we truly want. This loss of self makes it harder to envision a life outside the current toxic scenario, as we've become so entwined with it that the thought of leaving feels like leaving a part of ourselves behind. Lastly, our deep-seated need for acceptance and belonging cannot be overlooked. It's a fundamental human desire to feel connected and valued. In toxic settings, this need can transform into a relentless quest for approval, often from those least willing to offer it genuinely. We find ourselves changing, adapting, and losing parts of our identity in an effort to fit into a mold that was never meant for us. Understanding these emotional entanglements is the first step towards empowerment. But the real journey begins when we learn to recognize these patterns, assert ourselves, and take decisive steps towards a life that reflects our true worth and aspirations. It's time to walk away. Before we proceed, a humble request. If this video has been enlightening to you, it would be an honor to us if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, comment if you've encountered similar situations in your life and how you overcame them. The power of walking away. Nothing truly stops you. Nothing truly holds you back, for your own will is always within your control. Sickness may challenge your body, but are you merely your body? Lameness may impede your legs, but you are not merely your legs. Your will is bigger than your legs. Your will needn't be affected by an incident unless you let it. Epictetus. Your past and current circumstances don't have to dictate your future unless you allow them to. There comes a pivotal moment in our lives when we realize that walking away isn't an act of defeat, but a courageous step towards self-respect. It's about understanding that our well-being and peace of mind are far more valuable than any situation that continually diminishes us. Walking away is an empowering act of reclaiming our power, a declaration that we are no longer willing to remain in situations that do not honor our worth. It begins with a chapter of our life that many of us hesitate to write, the chapter where we gather the strength to say no. This simple word, often fraught with anxiety and guilt, holds immense power that we frequently underestimate. Saying no is not just a verbal expression, it's a declaration of self-worth, a firm line drawn in the sand of our personal boundaries. Let's delve deeper into the profound strength that lies in saying no. Imagine a scenario that's all too familiar. A friend asks for yet another favor, one that requires your time and energy, resources that are already stretched thin. The old you might have said yes, putting their needs above your own. But this time, something is different. This time you pause, reflect, and with respectful but firm resolve, you say no. This no echoes your self-respect. It's a statement that you value your time and energy. It's an acknowledgement that while you care for others, you also prioritize yourself. This no might disappoint some or anger others, but those who truly value and respect you will understand and accept it. Saying no can be particularly challenging in environments where we've been conditioned to comply and please, but each time we voice a no in these settings, we chip away at the old patterns of self-neglect. We begin to build a new narrative where our choices reflect our true desires and values. Each no is a stepping stone towards a life where we are no longer passive participants, but active directors of our story. It's a journey of reclaiming our agency, where each no adds to our strength, carving out a path that leads to a more authentic, more fulfilling life. Rediscovering purpose and direction. This is the second crucial part of walking away. As we embrace the power of our no, a new space opens up, a space for rediscovery. It's here that we find the courage to ask ourselves the most fundamental questions. What is my purpose? What direction do I want my life to take? This journey of rediscovery is more than just setting goals. It's about aligning our actions with the deepest truths of who we are. You now stand at the edge of a vast open field representing your life, filled with endless possibilities and paths. Reflect on the times you've walked paths chosen by others, paths that veered away from your true desires and dreams. Now is the time to choose your own path, one that resonates with your deepest aspirations and values. Rediscovering your purpose and direction is a gradual process of introspection and exploration. It starts with reconnecting with your passions, those activities that make your eyes light up and your heart beat faster. It's about listening to your inner voice, the one that's been drowned out by others' expectations and demands. What makes you lose track of time? What ignites a fire within you? These are the signposts of your purpose, the markers on your map to a fulfilling life. This newfound space is an opportunity to set intentions that guide your decisions and actions. It's about creating a vision for your life that excites you, reflecting who you are and who you aspire to be. Whether pursuing a long-held dream, changing careers, or dedicating yourself to a cause close to your heart, these intentions become your compass, guiding you through life's challenges and uncertainties. When others notice our commitment to personal goals, they recognize the value we place on our time. This commitment demonstrates to those around us that our boundaries are to be respected and that our time is precious and is to be spent on pursuits that are meaningful to us, rather than merely being available for their use. Having a clear sense of direction empowers us to walk away from situations where our boundaries are violated or where we are subjected to abuse. This clarity helps reduce the temptation to engage in needy, approval-seeking behaviors. Being firmly tethered to our own path, we naturally care less about the affairs of others and focus more on our journey. Walking away from abusive people and destructive environments is not just an escape, it's a bold statement of self-empowerment. It shows the world that you are the decision-maker in your life. Adopting this stance, especially in professional or negotiation scenarios, conveys that you have abundance in your life, and your engagement is from a position of strength and choice, not desperation. This approach signals contentment and completeness in oneself, regardless of external circumstances. As you walk away and move forward, remember this: you now have full control of your life and are self-assured in your own abilities to live, to love, and to thrive. You embrace the abundance mindset, where external factors no longer dictate your internal state. Know that it's okay to reassess and adjust your boundaries as you grow and evolve. Embrace the future with an open heart, knowing that you are now better equipped to create a fulfilling, authentic life, one where your choices reflect your true self and where your well-being is cherished. As you continue on this journey, you might be interested in ridding the tendencies that could weaken your resolve and hinder your success. We cover some of this in this video,